Hi Dale, always a pleasure to meet up with you and do some work on your game at the range. Put my teeth back in. Just a quick recap on the key parts that we discussed during your session. Things have moved on nicely, but there's still this tendency with yourself to take the club back a little bit too straight, quite a lot in this case. And there's certainly not enough inward movement there from P1 to P3. And we talked about the desired route the club should take from P1 to P3, and we put the line up the shaft and explained that the hands should trace that line until around about P2.5. As you can see there, the hands lifting off that shaft plane line or the hand plane line too quickly, and then from there it's a little bit of a battle to get that club coming down from the inside. Although the strike is better, we're not producing the shape of shot that we'd like. So first protocol was to try and get the hands to trace more of an inward path from P1 to P3. So you can see they're tracing more of an inward path, blade not rolling open to the arc, before then starting to elevate from P2.5 onto that elbow plane line. So you see when we stop you at P3 now, the left arm is angled inwards much more. The shaft and the hands are hitting the base of the right bicep rather than sort of line just below the right shoulder. The problems this created was that in the downswing the club was getting a little bit too much out in front of us, and then we have to stand up and tuck the hips in an attempt to get the club inside, or in your case to prevent the club coming excessively across the golf ball. So that standing up piece needed tidying up. So we've got the hands working in more. Now we can start to get a little bit of weight moving forward in the appropriate manner. And we certainly don't need to stand up and out of the shot quite as quickly. As you do that, the tendency is to also get the wrist to be dumping very early, just really in an attempt to reach the golf ball. Add to that the fact that you need to dump the wrists, or the wrists are flattened out due to the rotational aspect of your downswing. So we've got too much of a rotation too soon, allied to hands that haven't come in sufficiently on the way back. And now from P5 we've got to stop this thing coming way across the ball. So what we start to do is dump the wrists and extend very early in an attempt to keep the club on something resembling a good line. So key thoughts for you were obviously hands in and arms in P1 to P3, and then tightening the radius of the swing. So the first protocol, let's go to this bottom right footage first, where we're trying to increase the amount of flex in the lead leg to bring the arms down. So just getting a little bit of weight going into the ground before we push up. One of the things we discussed with yourself is a tendency to push up too quick. Let's take a little look at this one again. We start to straighten and push up very early. Not really gone down at that stage, but we've discussed why you have to do that. So we'd want more of a movement into that lead leg, which we're creating there in a very controlled manner by rehearsing some backswings and then trying to execute that in a shot. But the best way to do it was to place the towel down, leading edge of the club on the front edge of the towel, and try and hit out in front of that towel. So what we're trying to do here is recreate the scenario of hitting off the line, but it's something that we can do over and over again. You can see how much more stacked you are at the top on the way back. Radius of the swing much tighter, pressure going into the ground from P4 to P5, tightening of the radius of the swing. I mean, just look how much tighter P6 is here, with no standing up as we come through. So effectively better hip slide as well, and overall a much better move into and through impact. So we've got some feels and some drills that we can do throughout the winter months, and some key checkpoints that you can follow, and hopefully things will be progressing nicely for the start of the 2014 season. Well done.